This is my 1949 Studebaker 2R5 half-ton pickup truck that me and my sister are in the process of trying to restore. Today I want to talk about installing the clutch operating shaft and the clutch pedal. What you have before you, just real quick, this is the clutch operating shaft itself. This is my clutch pedal that will go on there. This is the pedal rod that connects the clutch pedal to the clutch operating shaft. Clutch operating shaft connects to the transmission via this shaft sleeve right here that has two 5/16 clevis pins. One that connects this to the shaft and the other one connects this to the actual transmission itself. What you see here is a bearing and retainer kit. That is where the clutch operating shaft connects to, and that's where it actually mounts to the frame. I have two examples of the bearing retainer kit here. This is the original kit that came off of my pickup. It has two felt washers that go on the outside. They're supposed to be soaked with engine oil. And then you have this brass bushing that was what the shaft actually slid over and rotated on. Now this brass bushing is a little worn. You can see the thin spots up there versus the thick, so it's going to wobble a little bit. And that's why I got another bearing retainer kit right here. The one I got came with the two washers, but the bushing itself was a rubber bushing with an internal brass bushing there. And the thing I found out about this is that I actually did not need these washers that came with it because the thickness of this is the same as the thickness of this brass bushing with the two washers. So I'm going to leave these two out, and I'm just going to use this inside of here. So that's where it will go. It slide into there, and those are your retaining sleeves. You get two of them, one on each side. Put it down, and then to bolt those together, you've got these studs that are mounted to the frame. The internal part of the stud, if you notice, it has a locking nut. A locking nut is not found very often, but that's what it kind of looks like. It's a very thin piece of metal. It's used to secure the nut on from backing off, and so there's the nut itself. And then we'll use that to connect those to the two sleeves there. One on, get the second one on. So we'll tighten those down. Go ahead and put our locking nuts on there. And so that's kind of what it looks like once you get it back together. This will actually slide on to the end here. You see your shaft will slide into there. And then these studs will actually, there's two holes in the frame that these will mount into. And so it will mount into the frame there, and then this shaft will come across. You'll have the shaft sleeve there, which takes a 5/16 pin. Slide that on, and then you have another 5/16 pin that once this goes over the shaft on the transmission, we'll slide that down and we'll clip it in. And so that was how this will connect to the frame and to the transmission here. The next thing you want to do is you have this pedal rod here, and this pedal rod gets mounted right here to this hole. You see this hole right here, it's a 3/8 clevis pin. That's what I have here. So you take your 3/8 clevis pin, connect this, slide it through. Now that's connected. So now that we've got this pedal rod on the clutch operating shaft, the next thing we want to do is it's going to be connected to the clutch pedal itself. This is the clutch pedal on the bottom. You see this little hook right here? It's got a slot through there. That's going to fit right over the pedal rod itself. And then we have this thing called a pedal swivel. It's just a round piece of metal. It's got a bolt hole drilled right through it, and it slides right over that pedal rod itself. I'm going to go ahead and put a washer over that. Follow up with the 3/8 nut, fine thread. And then once that gets on there, as you can see, that swivel just fits right inside of that hook there, and that's how the system is connected. So here we have our clutch pedal itself. The pedal rod connects through here using this swivel, connects to the clutch operating shaft. The clutch operating shaft is connected to this bearing retaining kit, which is mounted to the frame itself. And then over on this side, this shaft sleeve mounts over the transmission shaft, and it gets pins in there. We'll take a quick break, get it reset up, and we'll go over actually mounting it onto the vehicle. The bearing retainer kit that we talked about earlier actually gets mounted on the inside of the frame through these two bolt holes right here, which is just forward of the cab mounting bracket on the driver's side. You take this and you just slip it into these two holes. Once you get it in there, I always follow it up with just a flat washer, lock washer, takes a 9/16 wrench to tighten them down, and when I get through with this, then I'll go ahead and torque these down to the required specs. These are grade 5 bolts. And now that we have that, what we can do is start working on the inside. Now here you see the bearing retainer kit mounted to the inside of the frame there. Right here, this is the brake pedal and clutch pedal shaft that comes out from the inside of the cab mount itself. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to connect the clutch operating shaft into here, and then from there connect it over to the transmission. This is the shaft on the transmission that the clutch operating shaft will get mounted to. And then over here is that bearing and retaining kit that we just talked about a second ago. And the first thing we want to do is we want to insert this into the bearing and retainer kit. So we'll go ahead and do that. And that's in there. Second thing we want to do is we want to take our shaft sleeve, slide it over, and then we want to take our shaft and slide it up over that shaft on the transmission there. We want to line up our holes, take our 5/16 clevis pins, slide those in, we're going to secure them with these pins. Take the other 5/16, slide it in the shaft here, slide it through, there, it's secured into there. So now we have the clutch operating shaft secured. It's connected here to the shaft on the transmission via this shaft sleeve, and then it's connected via this bearing and retaining kit that was mounted to the side of the frame over here. And that's what will allow this to rotate. So now we'll take this clutch pedal, and I left the pedal rod on there, and we'll slide it over the clutch and brake pedal shaft here, slide it in, and then we'll take that pedal rod and we'll connect it to the clutch operating shaft using this 3/8 inch clevis pin. Takes a little bit of work, but eventually you can work it in there because you really need to kind of work it in from the back side. So there, that is connected there, and we'll do the adjustments later on because this clutch pedal actually is going to need to ride up here, so we'll need to adjust this pedal rod, but that will come once we get the rest of the vehicle put together here. But beside the clutch pedal, I do have a small bushing that I put in there, and then you have the brake pedal to mount on there, which slides on over that, and there you have the system. Again, this will be adjusted so the clutch and brake pedal will be about the same, but that'll happen on down the road. Hopefully this will help somebody else out there.